Welcome to the second Steel Green Manufacturing Fireside Chat on machine customization, all liquid dual boom sprayers, all granular spreaders, and everything in between with special guest Jim Beveridge. My name is Casey Smith, and I am one of 6 team members on the Steel Green Manufacturing team, marketing team. Due to unprecedented times and the inability to see you at GIE Expo, we are here today because the Steel Green team is excited to share a unique story with you. Many of you are familiar with the Steel Green story. We'll be talking about how the Steel Green team is going against the grain by bringing back a more customized manufacturing approach. Most, if not all, competitive manufacturers approach business differently than we do. And our model is bringing the user into the conversation and finding out if there are ways to make the machines fit their business needs. Before we jump into introductions, please be sure to ask your questions via the comment sections below. Today we have Matt Smith, sales manager of the Steel Green team, Scott Jones, operations manager of the Steel Green team, and Jim Beveridge, owner-operator, along with his wife, Judy Beveridge, of Yards Done Right in Westlake, Ohio. Now, a little bit about Jim. Jim was 14 when he first started his landscaping career. Jim's passions for the outdoors led him to Ohio State University, and I should say the Ohio State University. Learning a lot about plants and trees in Latin, he earned his horticulture degree in 1985. After returning to Cleveland, he increased his knowledge and his experience by working for several landscaping companies in every position imaginable, from general crew member to all the way up to right-hand man. An entrepreneur at heart, his first landscaping business was his co-owner in Forest View Landscaping Company, where for several years, Jim did everything from mowing to full yard designs, irrigation, outdoor lighting, deck construction, and just about anything else that can be done to make your yard beautiful. Yards Done Right was launched in 2011 after Jim realized that he could improve people's yards by improving their soil. He hasn't stopped doing just that since then. If you are looking for a great community to share your thoughts and ideas on Facebook, join Jim's group called Professional Lawn Care Applicators. So here we are again for round 2. Matt Smith, sales manager of Steel Green. Go ahead and introduce Scott. How you doing today?
Appreciate it, man. Doing good. Good to see you again on a lovely Wednesday. Today we have, hey Jimbo. Always a good time when we get to see Jim Beveridge, and I've got the legend Scott Jones with us today. Scott is self-proclaimed sprayer guru. He pretty much can do anything that we ask. As not only being one of the founders, he's always up for the task of looking for new or different ways to make things work. So when Jim decided to bless us with his idea, we were all kind of baffled, but luckily we had Scott on our team to sit through a couple 4 or 5 days and decipher how we could build this machine. So Scott's an integral part of our business, and that's probably the nicest things I've ever said about him.
Come down to it. So.
Well, that was like the first round. So,
yeah.
Thank you for joining, Scott. Always a pleasure to see Scott.
Thank you for having me. Hello, Jim.
Hello, Scott.
So, to start the conversation today, it's been a unique relationship that Jim you've experienced with Matt and Scott and the rest of the Steel Green team, and really it was focused around a solution to maximize your business and take it to the next level. So let's talk about let's talk about the liquid program, Jim. what, why is an all liquid program solution a why is an all liquid program a solution to someone's specific needs in the LCO market?
Yeah, we do things a little bit differently than a lot of people do. Years ago, I decided to switch over to liquid, and it was because I was getting so much inconsistency with granular fertilizer. Actually, there was a couple of reasons we did. Inconsistency with products, inconsistency with the grades of material we were getting, things like that, and spreadability. And we wanted to do more in a tank. So I can mix a bunch of different things in a tank as long as they all play well together, that I couldn't get made onto a granular prill. So it kind of fit our business model to do a little things like that. And we basically started out with a 250 gallon sprayer in the back of a truck with a 300 gallon pull behind unit, and walked every single lawn. Kind of outgrew that, had a truck custom built that would hold 700 gallons, and subsequently had the steel greens built. We went to Matt at the first GIE and threw some ideas at him. I called him ahead of time and warned him, and he was actually pretty intimidated and scared when he first met me at the GIE. It basically, the liquid system fits our needs. It isn't for everybody. I don't try to talk everybody into doing it. It just fits our business model. And thankfully, you guys were able to build us some equipment, and we can talk a little bit about that, that suited our needs and made our job a lot easier, and production just went crazy.
So, you know, piggyback off that statement that you just said, Jim, you know, give the audience the timeline of, you know, GIE, Steel Green just launched. They're introducing 3 new models to the market. Matt, what's your side of this story? Tell us how you, and Scott, how you both, you know.
Yeah, I've got plenty of time to talk about this. So, you know, we launch Steel Green July 9th of 18, and I would say within the first month, 2 months, started following some of these different professional page, the Right On Spreader Sprayer page, looking for, you know, just any type of ideas and, you know, learning opportunities to see where we could possibly, you know, fit in. And see this guy on there, you know, Jim Beveridge, was fairly boisterous about certain needs that he had, and one day I get this email from Jim saying, I would like you to build, or would you build me a sprayer customized for me? And we're like, oh man, you know, we'll look at it. Well, needless to say, when we got the list, it was about 10 pages long, very, very detailed, and he knew exactly what he wanted, which we were very appreciative of. But in no time did we think we would, you know, be able to build this machine, first of all, to his specs right out of the gate, since we're just launching this brand new sprayer company. So when he did come to GIE and I had an appointment with him, he said, hey, I'm going to come find you, and we're going to have a little discussion. And sure enough, after a couple hours, I look up and there's Jim Beveridge staring right at me with Judy. And we sat down and started discussing what this thing could look like. And by God, I think within a couple hours at GIE, we decided we could do it. And I believe at one point, Jim, did you not hand me your wallet?
I did.
So I have a picture of that somewhere.
What I wanted to do was tell you, signify how serious I was about the transaction, about the fact that I wanted, you know, I have the money, I'll pay for the machine. Can you build it? So.
And so that's where it started. Yeah. Okay. It was painstaking probably for Jim to, you know, have to answer the same questions over and over again, as far as where he wanted one tank plumbed to that second set of nozzles, and how he wanted to control his independent tanks out of both sides into one or two tanks simultaneously, or use them together. It was just like, man, this is getting pretty intense. And luckily, again, we have our team to sit down, excluding me, to start taking notes, right? And it was fun to see everyone collaborate, thinking we would have to do this probably one time. I think I made the comment to you, Jim, that we'll risk building this for you, but this is kind of new, or this will be new for us. You have to give us some time to make sure we have it nailed down. And next thing you know, we're building these things left and right, and it's a huge part of our business. And we're able to actually name that machine after him. So the SGJB 46 was developed, and the dual boom machine is very popular. And so yeah, we do owe him a little thanks.
Jim, go ahead. If you got something to say, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to talk about how we came up with the concept of it, and how I kind of freaked you guys out about wanting to use every single tank independently of one another or together. And it actually had you guys scratching your head for a few weeks, but you figured it out. My reasoning behind wanting to use all three fertilizer tanks independently, if I had to, or if I wanted to, was that, you pull up to a yard, you see an issue, you see chinch bugs, you see fungus. I wanted to be able to take one single tank, isolate it, throw some fungicide, throw some insecticide into that tank, be able to go over and fert the guy's yard and take care of the problems, versus going all the way back to the shop, picking up a product, throwing it in. So it basically suits our needs perfectly because of that. We can be the most versatile company out there with it.
So Scott, Matt mentioned that, once the planning stages started, the relationship was built behind the scenes after GIE. He stepped away, and the rest of the team started to do it. So, is there anything to add from your experience of working with Jim behind the scenes that maybe Matt doesn't know?
Well, there's a lot of things that Matt doesn't know in general, but yeah, it was kind of a challenge and a lot of crude drawn plumbing to begin with, to try to figure out the two tanks and how to route it, because these things are a fairly small machine. Although Jim went one up and got a 36 with all that on it, and it's really jammed together. But tried to route everything where you didn't have the hose rubbing tight up. So if you had an issue, it was a job. I mean, a lot of the spatial brackets we had to make for that first one was, Craig Conyer did a lot of that for us. Mike got a whole bunch of different plumbing parts. It definitely was a team effort. Just trying to get what Jim wanted. And at first it's like, this is an awful lot to put on here, but it's kind of a challenge. And there's also that first machine, like I said, there'd be times when you get on a roll, getting the plumbing going, and you just run into a wall, and it's like, I got to step away and does Jim need this or what? And I think we're very proud of what we got, and it is a big thank you to Jim, because he did push us to what not anybody else is doing, is dual boom, custom this and that, and you just don't see that in the industry very often.
Hey Scott, how many valves were on that machine?
I thought, was it like 16 or something at one time? It was an ungodly amount. So
you said he needed like a NASA key.
Well, and like I said, if you look at what Jim's first machine compared to the second, you want to say his second is so much cleaner, but it's so much smaller. I don't know. But we can do them so much better now, because we, had James come down, our engineer, and draw the brackets to make things smoother. And like Jim's shut off for his second boom, and we kind of weaned off a manifold we had. We took it apart and bolted it together, or some spatial, length bolts to do that. So it was a challenge, but it was entertaining and frustrating. So,
How long did that timeline last from, okay, GIE, Matt, you guys start developing that relationship to
So
we've got a
February
prototype?
14th.
February 14th, is that when you delivered it?
Yeah, because we thought we had a week and a half or something. And then Matt goes, "Oh, by the way, Jim's coming to get this on the 14th." And it's like, I'm not ready for this. So, so we spent a little extra hours on there, but from GIE, and I'm pretty sure it was like February 14th, wasn't it, Jim?
Yeah, pretty close.
So 4 months, 4 months, you guys
Yeah.
worked with someone who wanted a machine that was customized, and it took you 4 months to really find that solution. And
While starting up a new business.
exactly.
Yeah, it was different because here we are trying to focus on building, that cookie cutter model. I'm going to build the same machine, 10 a day, 5 a day, whatever it is, whatever number you want to come up with, and then try to balance in that custom machine is going to slow you down at some point. Now, today, we can do that on the line basically, and we have more efficiencies, and
Sure.
it just makes for a better product.
It's more streamlined.
Because you got a lot of guys that
It didn't fall in our lap.
Well, I kind of did because Jim showed up, but
It didn't fall in our lap. It was he made it. He pushed it on us now.
actually, because it wasn't something we planned on, but it's kind of something that we've picked up and run with now. So we try to do what we can. There are some limitations, but we've been pushing them lately. So
Sure. So we had a question come in, and it's from Ambrose Pest and Turf Management LLC.
Not familiar with him.
Okay.
terrible
Just read it.
individual.
It's that has anyone else asked for any, and this is directly from the chat bar, crazy one-off machines with the laughing emoji?
Yeah, I think Vin Ambrose is who that came from. Has a specialty machine in
In the works?
final stages, and it's he also had a very specific need, and we worked really hard. The team worked hard to address that. So we've not completely launched it yet, but that will be that'll be another fireside chat, I'm sure.
Next year, right?
It's going to open up some avenues too. So any machine.
Oh yeah, it all leads to what we'll call the SGVA 52 is going to lead to some really neat things down the road.
So let's push the timeline back. Yesterday when we were having a little discussion behind the scenes, halfway through the build, tell us what happened from your perspective.
Oh, I took a nice little road trip over to Lebanon and saw the guys and saw the machine, and immediately it was, well, what about this? What about this? What can we do with this? So we ended up changing a few things, not too much, because everything's, this was a beta type machine. It was in a first one-off that they've done, first one I've ever seen. And so there were some changes and things, and there have been along the way. I mean, we've done some hose changes, sizing on hoses, things like that. But I think all in all, it's at its prime right now as to where it needs to be. But it was a couple of days spent there with the guys that were pre-COVID, which was nice because we got to do go out to dinner and do a few things, and really take a look at the machine and hammer it down to its final stages. So.
And the weekly phone calls of, hey, is
pictures.
Machine, could you update me with a new picture?
Yeah.
And so I would, walk around the machine and, move like a half an inch, and show him the same picture over and over again, basically, until it was done. So,
And I would equate it to building a house. You know, I would go and visit my house every day. So
Well, Matt did learn how to
the
put
final
a nut on the third solenoid at that point. So
was that the machine? Was
yeah,
that was the machine that I think you're
I
right.
think so. So
Yeah.
yeah, he carries a
What
hammer
should
and a
take
crescent.
someone
That's about it.
what should take someone a half hour at most to do that job took me probably 5 hours.
I bet.
So that's why they want to get me the shirt that says, you know, with a hammer on it that says this is not a drill.
And, you know, I really admire the fact that you guys went above and beyond for me, because it all came down to the same thing on the second machine. When I said, this is great, I want another machine. And Matt said, okay, great, we'll build you another 46. I said, nope, hold on a minute. We're going to do a 36 this time. And so what happened was I was told that I couldn't have it exactly like I wanted, like the other one was. And then the only thing it was missing was the 75-foot hose reel. So I kind of, you know, sat with Scott one day at the 4th Street there, and then I guess it was the beer talking or whatever, but I asked him, I said, you know, the only thing I don't like about this is I can't have the hose reel. And he said, what do you mean you can't have the hose reel? We're going to get you a hose reel, don't worry. And the machine came complete. So, you know, these guys can do it.
Absolutely. You know, it's, you know, Jim, just, you know, on behalf of the Steel Green team, thank you for sharing, you know, those intimate details about, you know, this process of what you experienced when you worked with Matt, Scott, the rest, Brent, Craig, Mike. You know, it's just a unique story. We appreciate you guys sharing thoughts. So
yeah, and I've actually never had a vendor in my career in 44 years of doing this that I could call, text, get a hold of on a weekend when I had an issue like I can with these guys. They're, you know, 10 at night, somebody tags them in the Facebook group and they answer, and they're, you know, call me in the morning, we'll set you up with this, that, or the other, or they answer questions. And specific, obviously the Facebook group guys are great to ask questions to. There's a guy, Dan Wright, who has a group with that does repairs and things to the equipment for spraying. And
Oh yeah.
his
Sorry,
group, his group's great to join, just because we're helping each other.
absolutely.
So
Matt, we'll transition over. Scott, will transition over. So on the flip side of an all liquid program, you know, what options do LCOs have for, or dual, you know, dual operation, operating businesses? On the flip side, what other options do the LCO market have?
So I think with for every, you know, Jim Beveridge that's running an all liquid program, then there's a lot of guys that are running, you know, 50-50, right? So I want to make sure we can quickly remove the front tank, the 35-gallon or 20-gallon tank off the machine, to replace it with a hopper through certain rounds. So that's, I mean, this machine has kind of taken a turn every which way for folks that are doing a little bit of everything. So, you know, we even have customers that are asking for an all granular unit, right? So the all granular unit was, you know, primarily we were getting that request down in Florida. Okay, we build a all granular unit that can hold 2 extra bags in each, where the side tanks go. We can put 2 additional bags of fert on those trays. So not only did that help those folks, that also helped us transition into potentially using with our new snowplow. So we have the SG plow that a lot of these operators, you know, snow removal companies that aren't using machines to fertilize and spray with have no need for tanks. They don't want to use that particular setup. So that all granular unit worked out well for guys that wanted to just go ahead and put extra salt in storage bins. So it's you name it, it's happened. And as far as people asking questions, I know the guys get sick of me coming in. Well, they get sick of me regardless, but they get sick of me going, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? and it's gotten better now, because this will be what, year 3 in 6 months or
Yeah.
so. It'll be year 3.
July, yeah, it'll be 3 years.
So we've gotten used to that comment of, hey, I think we can, or can we do this? Brent Mills, our GM, at least is relaxed a little bit and is open to listening and really giving me time to speak before completely shutting it down, which is, kind of nice. He's hard to deal with.
Brent's great.
So that granular machine, Matt, that'll hold 2 bags per side.
2 bags per side, and then 1 in each
3.
for a tray in the back.
So you got an extra 6 bags capacity, right?
Say again?
You got an extra 6 bags you can put on that machine.
Yes.
Yeah. So you got, and then you can put, 4 or 5 bags hopper up front. You end up saving about $1,400 off when you take all the liquid components off the machine and add in the stainless steel trays. It ends up saving around $1,400.
Yeah, we
and
just
that's
shipped
perfect.
one today.
Jim, has anyone in your Facebook groups have any of them been talking about an all granular program or?
No, they haven't. I don't think anybody actually knew that it was available. I know there's probably some stuff on your website about it, correct?
It was a GIE release this year.
Yeah, so it's, like Matt said, this was going to be a machine that we were going to have at GIE with a snowplow, right, Matt? Yep.
Yeah, and I think it's the only machine, the only 0-turn all granular machine on the market, if I'm not mistaken. I think most of them are, most of the other ones are on like the tractor frame, like the Turfco and things like that. This would be pretty much the only 0-turn all granular machine out there at this time.
Absolutely. And
so there, there's that option. There's going to be some other things come out, sooner rather than later that will be pretty neat to hit on.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what Jim said, if you want more information on the all granular unit, it is live on our website at steelgreenfg.com. If you want to go there and check it out. So, so
I know you have a couple more questions over there that I am actually just now noticing, and I want to do a special shout out real quick to, Adam Conley and Greg Bergall. They're in Jim's group, and they are always offering their opinion on what we could do and help their business. And it's interesting to see how many ideas are out there. But Greg in particular asking for the crock pot option is always nice to see that as a question that he put on there, to have a nice crock pot option.
So yeah, we've got a question for you guys, and it's can you build a machine to handle athletic fields with more liquid capacity and wider spray width, and still have the hopper for granular?
Scott, I'll kind of let you.
Right now,
as far as that boom.
Yeah, say like with we do that dual setup, and it's got 2 7s, and then 90 gallons on the main unit itself. We had been doing a 5 and 4 nozzle boom. We're currently working on a 6 nozzle. We've kind of toyed with a 7, but probably it'll be a 6 nozzle coming down the line here fairly quick. That will also make like guys are doing 1.5 gallons to 2.5 gallons per thousand. Gives you more even spray when you're feeding the same pressure and the same number of nozzles. So 6 nozzles coming. Like I say, right now we're at that dual, but I would say we're probably looking at more gallonage down the line. When that's going to happen, I'm not sure.
Something we're looking at though.
46 with more gallonage too for 4-foot gate guys, and then the 52, like I say, it's coming, but right now we're still. I wouldn't rule out anything like that, but
maybe a fireside chat in the spring.
Pretty easy on top of that. So yeah. And I want to
Another
say
question.
thank you to Jack Miller for giving us a nice compliment on parts and service there. So
Thanks for sharing, Scott. Next question. If a steel green owner wants to upgrade to an all liquid machine, what's the advantage of adding dual pumps versus single roller pumps?
actually,
Well,
you there?
I was going to
I'll
say
take this one.
the roller pump, like you take it, Scott.
Yeah, the roller pump is a 9.9 gallon per minute, where it's based at 0 psi. So as you do more, pressure, that comes down. The dual pump, there's a plus side to that. It doesn't take quite as much voltage off the engine. Also, say if you're spraying 1.5 gallons, 2 gallon per thousand, for some reason one of those pumps fail, you can still spray up to 1.25 gallons. You got to adjust your tips and spray, so you can still be up and going. Where like if the pump, if that goes down, then you got to rebuild it. You got to take it off. You got to press it out. Gallonage wise, it's about the same. The dual pump system is a little bit cheaper than the roller pump, and maintenance on it's is a little it's a lot easier, because it's basically you can redo the diaphragms, but most of the guys will look at those 12-volt pumps and they're considered a throwaway. So if one goes down, you can still be operating. Where the roller pump, if it goes down, you're going to be down for a little while unless you just have something sitting on the shelf. And they're fairly expensive just to sit there.
Now, Jim, there were some things in the field that we learned over time that we addressed with the roller pump too, that help, just with overall flow. And Jim, I know you've had a lot of success with that pump after some changes, and we're always looking for the best setup, the best pump, and cost effective, whatever, however you want to look at it. So we're always looking for something to keep improving and never settle for what we're doing today.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the roller pump.
Go ahead.
The reason is I don't know, it just runs smoother to me. We changed the plumbing around, so the suction line, instead of being 3/4, is now 1 inch. I think it's putting a lot less strain and stress on the pumps. I, knock on wood, have not replaced one this year at all. To me, they're not that bad because I keep the pump heads themselves. I don't keep a whole unit on the shelf with the motor and everything. The motor seems to just keep running and running and running, and the pump heads are basically the only thing that goes bad. And I've got it down to about 20 minutes to change a pump head in my shop. So, and it's not a thing where the pump just dies on you. It kind of decreases and decreases as you go. So you have kind of, in my opinion, a day or so you can still use it and get it, to produce for you before you have to replace it. So it's not something that if it dies at 11 in the morning, you're kind of done for the day. It's something where it will slowly decrease over the day, and you just kind of work with it, slow your machine down a little bit. That's how we did it before we had the second machine built, and had obviously a backup machine now. But I'm still a big fan of the roller pump, and I think I'll still keep using it.
Well, and I will say one thing for that question was, if you got an existing machine and you're wanting to go to higher volume, it's a lot easier to add the dual pump. The roller pump, like say with Jim, we had to change the plumbing out. You got a pressure relief you got to put in there. So if you're have an existing machine and you just want to up the volume, dual pump is very easy to do on those. Switching over the roller pump can be done, not a huge issue, but you got a lot of plumbing on the suction side, where the dual pump, you're just adding the pumps and basically tying them together and into the line.
Another question just came in there. I think building off of this conversation, would it make sense to add a small pump for agitation versus turning down the PSI?
Well, we've got, Scott, 90 I mean,
Yeah,
bypass
well,
agitation, but 90 psi, depending on how you're running.
yeah, I mean, if you use a sure flow pump and you're doing low volume, you got a little bit more agitation. But again, that's the one thing that we're working on is trying to get more agitation for these things. We're working with a pump manufacturer that we can split off pumps and try that. There's some other things we're going to address, but yeah, that's the one thing about the whether all these stand-on sprayers, the agitation, it's minimal. And to be honest with you, most of your agitation is when you're moving. But if you do switch over to the shear flow, you get a little bit more agitation on the low end. If you're doing anything, 3/4 and up, you're going to lose that agitation. So we have looked at that. I've heard somebody's throwing a 2-gallon in there. I can't see the 2-gallon being a big improvement, but it is something we've talked about. We haven't gotten that far along on it, but yeah, there's more and more product being put out there needs more agitation because it sits, then it just settles down to the bottom. So yeah, yes, I mean another pump, or what we're trying to do is get to more volume and still not have to have 2 pumps. So you can still spray and the excess will be bypassed back in there. So and like I say, in the Vinny Ambrose machine that we talked about earlier, it's got some pretty crazy agitation back to it, but that's a whole nother subject. So
Hey, can I make a plug real quick here? The guy that we used for financing on our last Steel Green, Jacob White, JB2 financing, was awesome. That's who the guys use now, and he's just amazing to deal with if you want to get a machine. So
Good. Thank you, Jim.
I think he's muted.
Sorry about that. Scott, we got a comment from Craig. Scott needs to add a log to his fire that's going out. So
I think you just did.
yeah, there we go.
Big log on there just for him. So
Well,
shout out to Cameron Smith Lawn Care. I seen her first thing on one of the first posts on there. Just want to say hi. So.
Anything else you guys want to add to the conversation before I, announce our swag winner?
Well, I just want to say real quick, thank you to Jim. Sincerely appreciate everything you've done for us, and Judy. That relationship we have, friendship is with all of us is really cool, unique, and the support system you've developed through your group, and also piggybacking off that with Russell's group and Dan and everybody that contributes to that page. Your page it's amazing to see that kind of communication, and we appreciate it. It feeds us, when we're inside selling and building and doing all the things, you can lose track of what's important for the end user. And I still feel like there's a lot of companies that don't pay attention to that, and that's something that'll never happen with us. We're just always be engaged, and your group helps us stay right there, like we're on the machine, 24/7. So thank you again for your help and friendship.
No, thank you guys. We've got a.
Yeah, like I say, Jim's been a great ambassador for us, and he's sold several machines. And I know behind the scenes, he's taken a lot of questions from guys that have called him before they talked to us about them. So he does really appreciate Jim Beveridge and Judy. So.
Well, thank you guys. We appreciate you guys. We've got a wealth of knowledge in the group. It's just amazing. So
piggybacking off of that, Jim, how many members do you guys have in your group?
Oh, I think about 2,400.
That's wow. Yeah, it's just amazing what the community can do when they come together to share ideas, thoughts.
Something I started 5 years ago, and I actually was looking for a group to join on Facebook that did nothing but lawn applications, and couldn't find one. So I started. My wife suggested starting a group, and we did, and it's been pretty amazing. We've met a lot of great people and developed a lot of great relationships with people and a lot of knowledge, like I said, in the group. So
Yeah, and you guys meet every GIE, right?
yeah, yeah,
Guys,
we try to throw a little party. You guys sponsored the last one, you and Greene County Fertilizer, and we get the vendors kick in some great gifts and prizes and things like that. I'm kind of hoping we can get back to that next year, God willing, and everything.
Yeah.
So
we did have a couple questions that just came in before I announce the swag winner. Any changes on the SG52 from the one Patrick Valancourt bought last year? Is if I would buy one this winter.
Let Matt, the sales
Well,
guy.
Patrick, I was gonna say, I think when Patrick came over all the way from was it Maine? He picked up the machine, and so any changes, I'm sure there are some small changes, cosmetic, versus what he had probably in January or whenever he picked that up. But for the most part, I would say we've just fine-tuned, everything.
Yeah.
I thought that one had the Bose surround sound now on it for him.
Yeah, he probably did ask for that, or one of you guys did. Probably Greg, or Lord only knows what gets popped up there on that group.
Yeah. Last question is, can the rear tanks be added to an SG46? From Greg
Yep.
Burke.
Yeah, but you have to pay double, Greg. Canada money. It's definitely gonna be more expensive for you. But no, you can, and it's the easy. Depending on which one you want to do. If it's the independent tanks, it took me 6 hours to do it. It should take you 15. But we can absolutely do that.
He'll send you some maple syrup.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, on behalf of Still Green, obviously Matt and Scott have, given you a big thank you. Thank you for being part of this conversation, Fireside Chat. It's been great to get to know you through this process, and look forward, like you said, hopefully next year at GIE we can shake hands and have more conversations.
Absolutely.
So today the swag winner is Scott Furman.
Scott Berman. Old Scotty, that's awesome. I just talked to him a couple of days ago. He actually met him on our way out to Long Island. Brent and I went out to meet a dealer, Nassau, Suffolk, to set them up, and we met Scott on the way and did a demo with him, and he did finally pull the trigger and bought a machine, and I think he's getting ready to order a plow. So
Great.
Good for Scott.
So Matt, before I send it off to you and Scott for final thoughts and closing, November 18th, for anyone who is still there, we will be having our final Fireside Chat for the 2020 season. It's going to be based on, Ask Parts Pros. We're going to have Mike and Kyle Coons on that one. And, any questions you have on, spreader sprayer parts or attachments and accessories, be on the lookout for our Facebook page, and be sure to comment in the comment section, any questions you might have. It's going to be centered around customer service along with parts, but just be on the lookout for those details coming up within the next week. So Matt and Scott, I'm going to hand it over to you for final thoughts and closing.
Yep.
Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you, Casey. Appreciate it, Jim, Scott. I know that you'll not want to miss the next Fireside Chat to get a chance to actually, see the genius, our parts genius that we have, Kyle Coons. That guy is amazing at his job, and he very rarely gets the credit he deserves. So I hope that day you guys can flood the Facebook chat and ask him questions and put him on the spot a little bit too, because the guy knows everything. And we can't ever say enough about Mike. Mike's also, very talented and keeps that, parts department too, up and going. But that's all we've got. I appreciate it again, and we'll see you next time, right?
In a couple weeks.
And thanks, Casey. I guess I should say thank you to you for doing this and making it somewhat easy, because it's so.
You guys have a great relationship here. It's just been a peach to watch you guys, have this conversation. So again, Jim, thank you. Judy, thank you as well. And that's all we have for today. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right.
Take care,
See you guys.